I just finished a really good chapter in Mark Manson's book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F. And I came across kind of a thought that has really been an aha for me. That I've always struggled with this idea of, it's like Marianne Williamson's awesome quote on how we're a lot of times afraid of our own success. This is a big notion on how does that work, self-sabotage. Because in my mind, I'm like, no, I mean, I'm not afraid of success. Give me, give me the $1,000,000 and let me show you. But there is, I recognize in me, there is something about self-sabotage, or am I afraid of success? Or what is it? I've never quite been able to put together, like, what does that mean and how does that work, until something I read today made me go, I see in me, for example, I've had people tell me, David, you need to, you're a super nice guy, but you need to harden up sometime. That'll really help you take the next step. I get that. A lot of specific examples of, yeah, I can see that. Why don't I do that? And it is because I have this self identity of, I'm a nice guy. I pride myself on being a nice guy. In fact, my whole career with Cirque du Soleil, for example, and then with Dragon, it's interesting because my best friend got me in, right? And that's because we had just an awesome relationship, and certainly there's some skill and there's some competence that comes along with that. But the fact of the matter is, I get in that circle, and I've never ever been the smartest guy in any production team. I've always been surrounded by people who are super passionate about whatever their discipline was, and I could tell, oh, there's a difference. And I got into circuit; it was the same thing. But what made me, what kept me employed, as we closed the first show, and then they offered me and took me on tour for the next one, and that led to the next. Those keep going. Why? Not because I was super smart at automation, because it was because I was nice. I was a nice guy to work with, and whatever those qualities. There's some things there, and I've always prided myself on that so much that I, the thought of maybe hardening up a little bit and being tough when it would have served me well, I have failed that because it ruins that bigger glass house that I live in of, I'm a nice guy. Take for example this idea of, it's interesting being 55 years old too, where you come to this point of like, I'm kind of interested in redefining something. I've shifted to becoming an adventurer more than what I have always in my life gone is, I'm the theater guy. And I love theater. It is what I will love to do until the day I die. But there's this pride of myself wanting to be, to my mom and to my dad and to my family, the guy who made it in theater, because it was always a love or a hobby, or that struggling artist, that whole thing. So even if at some point I had, and I have tried many other little projects on the side, just because, I also would love to have a boat, and the theater is never going to quite provide a boat because I'm not that successful monetarily, right? Which is not everything. But having tried other projects, I'm going, what is the self sabotage? Why can't this nice guy, trustworthy, all of these things that I've defined, I pride myself on. The next identity that was like, actually became a limiting thing to moving forward is, I had this identity of, I'm a theater guy, and I couldn't be something else because it would mess with that identity. And and also there's this unknown, like, what does that mean now if I, if I was, actually, if I got that $1,000,000 or whatever it was, uh, you know, what would I do with myself? What would I do with that time? A lot of times we look at a superstar and go, I would love that life. But actually, when it comes right down to it, would you really? You can't go to the grocery store. You can't, um, you have people asking for money. They have a whole new set of problems. And that's okay. I'm not saying that's good or bad. But can you hear my old identities talking like, oh, ew, I wouldn't want those problems. Maybe I can grow into that. Maybe that's a different problem. But I think that we all might enjoy the exercise of kind of going, what is it? What are my predefined roles of myself that subconsciously I'm trying so hard to protect that I can't break out of that and move into a new arena? And I bring this all back into the idea that I read Anti-Fragile. Such a great idea, great book. The idea of, fragile meaning, you can be broken. And anti-fragile, it doesn't just mean I'm tough, like I can't be broken. It actually means that I become picking up on anti-fragile. I had an alarm come on and stop the video. Here I was, like, another 5 minutes into this going on, and I'm really making some awesome points, and then I'm like, hey man, the thing's sitting on 0. Okay, anti-fragile. I love this idea. The idea of, my coffee cup is fragile. Don't put too much force on it, it'll break, period, end of conversation. Anti-fragile is, if this cup was anti-fragile, the more stress you put on it, the more unbreakable it is. Like, please stress that thing. Like, let's work it, because the more you put into it, it's Captain Marvel. And I love that idea. Now we're human. Stress me too much, I could die. Yes, true. We're not anti-fragile, but as a student, as a learner, as an adventurer, right? The more you go out and learn and see and experience, the stronger you are, the wiser you are. Like, the student aspect of you is enhanced. And so I'm looking back now going, what if rather than putting myself in the box of I'm a theater guy, or I'm a nice guy, or I'm an open-minded guy, instead going, I'm curious, I'm an adventurer. All of those others mean if I do something that's outside of that box, I'm a failure. And that's uncomfortable. And so I self-sabotage? Something like that? But if I can kind of redefine the way I look at myself, and I think that's going to take some serious, like, self-programming. I'm really going to have to think on this and lean into that, right? But if I really define myself as now going, no, I'm curious. I'm an adventurer. Oh, I can take some pride. I like that word, adventurer. I'm an adventurer, and I love learning. Then all of a sudden, it's okay to go out and be stressed. Okay. And case in point, one thing I am not yet is a good videographer. Now my memory got full, and I had to start over. All right, folks, we're going to wrap this up. You get the idea of anti-fragile, just kind of being a new mindset as I let go of some of these predefined boxes that I limit myself in, and so subconsciously create a world of inflexibility where I'm not quite sure to move on. I think that the final exercise would be something to really lean into this idea of looking at some of these are limiting beliefs, and that's kind of a different conversation, but some of them are limiting identities, I think, where I go, I love my job, I love my role in life, I love these things, and then if you can take that moment to kind of go, what are the dreams that you really hold out there? What is your goal? And and you don't even have to look too far out there. It might just be, I want to lose weight. I hate picking on the common one, but that's just an easy one. Or I want to learn another language. So what is it as we start moving in that direction? What is that point of failure? And really looking at why is it that I'm afraid to either commit to a class, or where did it become uncomfortable enough that I decided to stop that course of action? Where is that? And if we can look back and kind of go, what are really the dangers of me holding on to this identity? Embrace a little bit more of I'm human like anybody else. We're all gonna die. So at that point, if I can take off some of the restrictions, I can free myself to go a little bit further. So that's what that is about. I'm really excited about having just one more nugget of clarity on this idea, this perspective. Hope that serves you, and I'll come back to you later with another one. This is take 3.